Welcome to the Hotelligence Podcast, your strategic vantage point on the changing landscape of hotel safety. Hosted by Jim Kortz, a retired FBI DHS investigator, and Don Carr, a former frontline security owner-operator with years of first-hand incident response experience on hotel properties. Every episode brings you closer to understanding the full picture and what the future may hold. Let's begin.
Welcome back to the Hotelligence Podcast. This is episode 11, The Incident Report Mirage, Why Hotels Document Problems but Rarely Capture the Truth. I'm Don. During the years I operated on-site security teams in hotels and multifamily environments, I wrote and reviewed a lot of incident reports. And over time, something became very clear. Incident reports feel authoritative, but they rarely function the way people think they do.
And I'm Jim. So, Don, I spent my career in federal law enforcement, wrote my share of reports, but documentation in the government is treated as evidence. But in hospitality, incident reports play a very different role. So today, we're unpacking why hotels document incidents consistently, yet still struggle to build meaningful operational understanding from those reports.
Well said, Jim. And this episode is not about bad reporting.
It's about what incident reports are designed to do and what they're not designed to do. So first, what incident reports are built for? Well, in hospitality, incident reports are primarily legal instruments. In hospitality, incident reports are primarily legal instruments. They exist to create a contemporaneous record that can be referenced later if questions arise.
Right. They're written to establish that something was noticed, acknowledged, and handled within policy, not to reconstruct every detail of what occurred.
Yeah, and that purpose shapes everything: tone, language, and structure.
So when people expect incident reports to function as safety analysis tools, they're asking them to do work that they weren't designed to do. So let's talk about why language gets so careful. With incident reports, they're usually written by people who understand that their words may be reviewed later by managers, attorneys, insurers, or corporate teams.
And that awareness naturally pushes language toward caution. Descriptions become narrow, verbs soften, interpretation disappears.
Not because staff are hiding information, but because interpretation creates exposure.
And the safest sentence is often the least descriptive one. So let's talk about incentives shape documentation. So it's important to understand incentives, right? So staff are not rewarded for depth or narrative clarity.
They're rewarded for compliance, for completing the report, for not escalating risk unnecessarily.
Over time, reporting behavior adapts to what the system reinforces.
And the result is documentation that satisfies legal requirements without capturing operational nuance. Let's talk about how the timing degrades accuracy. Another structural issue here is timing. Incident reports are often written after the immediate situation has passed.
Yeah, sometimes hours later, and sometimes after a shift change.
And memory fades quickly, especially under stress.
Details blur, sequence collapses. What felt clear in the moment becomes harder to reconstruct later.
And that isn't a failure of effort. It's a human limitation.
Shift changes fragment context. Hotels operate continuously, but incident reports don't always capture continuity across shifts.
Right. One team documents what they observed. Another team documents something else. Neither sees the full picture.
So reports exist more as snapshots, not narratives.
And without narrative continuity, patterns are very difficult to see. Which brings us into how reports are actually read. Many staff assume incident reports are read carefully and holistically.
In reality, managers are often scanning for exposure, claims risk, or policy compliance.
They're triaging, not necessarily analyzing.
And that's not negligence, it's workload reality.
But what it means is that reports are rarely used as raw material for deeper understanding.
So what happens at the corporate level? Well, when reports reach corporate, they're usually abstracted further.
Right, converted into categories, counts, and dashboards.
Volume matters. Trends at a higher level matter.
But story, sequence, and context are stripped away.
Yeah, the system favors aggregation over interpretation.
And that explains the mirage, because this is why incident reports feel so solid, yet often fail to drive operational insight.
They create the appearance of clarity without producing any understanding.
And that's not because anyone's lying or withholding information.
No, it's because the system incentivizes defensibility over depth.
So in closing, incident reports are not broken. They're doing exactly what they were designed to do.
The problem arises when we expect them to function as something they're not.
And understanding that limitation is essential before asking hotels to rely on reports for prevention or pattern recognition.
In the next episode, we'll look at another overlooked operational environment that quietly carries risk, the hotel business center.
And remember, we're in this together.
And together, we make hospitality stronger.
We publish a short, written insider briefing alongside each episode. It goes out on Wednesdays when the episode drops. If that's useful, the link is in the show notes.
Thank you for joining the Hotelligence Podcast, where experience informs smarter, safer hotel operations and prepares you for what comes next. Stay informed, stay confident, and stay connected. As the conversation evolves, Jim Cords and Don Carr will highlight developments that help hotels strengthen their approach to safety and risk management. See you next episode.